In a poor village, a boy was born. He spent his days meaninglessly, just like the other inhabitants of the fading village, mechanically and monotonously, just like the other inhabitants of the fading village, having no idea what to do with his life. Then one beautiful night, he dreamed of the sea. None of the village residents had ever seen the sea, so no one could confirm that such a vast body of water existed anywhere in the world. When the young man announced that he was going to search for the sea from his dream, everyone shook their heads and called him a madman. But he, undeterred, set off on his journey and wandered for a long time till he came to a crossroads. Here, he chose the road that led straight ahead, and after several days, he reached a village whose inhabitants lived a calm and prosperous life. When the young man told them that he was wandering in search of the sea, they tried to convince him that he was wasting his time, and that it would be better for him to stay in the village and live as happily as everyone else. The young man lived in comfort for several years. But one night, he again dreamed of the sea and remembered his unfulfilled dream. He decided to leave the village and set off on his journey once more. After saying goodbye to everyone, he returned to the crossroads and this time took a different path. He walked for a long time until he reached a large city. He was enchanted by its noise and colors and decided to stay there. He studied, worked, and enjoyed himself, eventually forgetting about the goal of his journey. However, after a few years, he again saw the sea in his dream, and thought that if he didn't fulfill the dream of his youth, he would waste his life. So he returned to the crossroads again, and chose the third road, which led him into a forest. On a small clearing, the young man saw a hut, and near it, a not so young but beautiful woman hanging out freshly washed clothes. She offered him to stay with her, since her husband had gone to war and never returned. The young man agreed. They lived happily for many years and raised children. But one day, the man, now aged, was visited again by the dream of the sea. And just before his weary heart stopped, the old man, through tears of regret, noticed that all the roads he had traveled led to the sea, but he had never followed any of them to the end. He left everything he had been tied to for so many years, returned to the crossroads, and set off on the last, previously unknown path, a very steep and rocky one. He walked with difficulty, and began to fear that he would soon run out of strength. When he reached the foot of a large mountain, the old man decided to climb it, in the hope of at least seeing the sea from his dreams in the distance. After several hours, on the brink of exhaustion, he reached the top of the mountain. Before him stretched out vast expanses. The old man saw the crossroads, the village where the residents lived prosperous lives, the large city, and the hut where he had spent many happy years with the woman. And in the distance, on the horizon, he saw the blue endless sea. And just before his weary heart stopped, the old man, through tears of regret, noticed that all the roads he had traveled led to the sea, but he had never followed any of them to the end.